Greetings once again, and welcome to day 6 of this training bootcamp. So today we're going to be talking about the power of three, right? Which is the open, high, low, and then close. And then we have also, it has to do something with sessions, all right? Take note of this. This is going to be one of the eye-opening lessons that you will get from me throughout these sessions. This is going to be the most important lesson actually, all right, because it deals with the formation of candles as well, as we mentioned earlier. Now, what is the power of three? It simply deals with what? The open, high, low, and close of each candle, all right? Now, for example, when we're talking about the open, high, low, and close, we are simply talking about, we are looking at how a candle actually opens, all right? Or you have a candle like this, you have the high and the low of the candle. So the power of three is simply breaking down a higher time frame candle into lower time frame movements, which means if this is going to be a bearish candle, then where does it open? It opens up, right? A bearish candle opens up, all right? It trades up, creates a high, and then trades down, creates a low, and then it closes, all right? So this is simply it. Open, high, low, and then close. That's what the power of three is based on. Okay, that's what the power of three is simply based on. All right, but now we are going to be emphasizing more on sessions. All right, we're going to be talking more about sessions, right? Because I've already explained to you how a candle opens and how it closes, so that's not a big deal anymore for you. If you were not in those classes, you should refer back to the lessons either on Telegram or on YouTube, and then you revise it, right? So today we're going to be talking more about sessions, all right, about sessions, trading sessions, all right. Now, which is based on the number of sessions that we have in the forex market, all right, the number of sessions we have in the forex market. Now, how many sessions do we have in the forex market? Somebody should tell me on the comment section, on the chat. How many sessions do we have in the forex market? The fastest person should tell me on the comment section. Now, trading is about sessions. Why is it about sessions? Because we are dealing with bank transfers, we are dealing with bank tradings, institutional tradings. Now, you will know that right now, my own time is 8 p.m., right? It's already night here, but now there are some people that are already sleeping. There are some people that are already doing what? They are already sleeping. And there are some people that just woke up, right? There are some people that just woke up. There are some people that are already within the day. So that's why sessions are there in the trading market. All right. So we actually have 4 sessions. We actually have 4 sessions in the market, but 2 of them are actually grouped into what we call the Asian session. Why? Because these periods, they are into the Asian, this country, they are more, they are almost within the Asian range. Okay, so we have how many sessions? We have 4 trading sessions. All right, this means at this point in time, all right, now that we are talking, there is a trading session that is going on. There are people that are actively trading within the day in their own country. All right, now, and their banks are open at this moment. Okay, take note of this. This is a very important session. Okay, so we have what? We have the Sydney session, which is the first one. All right, we have what we call the Sydney session. The Sydney session. The next one that we have is what we call the Tokyo. All right, the Tokyo session. Now, these 2 sessions, the Tokyo session, and then we have the London session. We have the London session, and then we have the New York session. Now, let me delete this. Now, this Sydney session, like I just mentioned, all right, they are grouped and they are now called the Asian session. All right, the Asian session. Now, when we are talking about Asian session, we are talking about the countries, all right, that are within the Asian continent. Okay, which means at this point, all right, when the Asian countries, when their banks are opening, that's when the volatility in the market is now it is the Asian people that are actually providing that much liquidity, all right, because the banks are open, transactions are happening up and down. The hedge funds that are based there, that's the time they will get up and they are bringing volatility to the market, all right. So this Asian session, though it is actually at night, I'm going to be giving you guys the timings, but this Asian session is one of the sessions that the market hardly trades, all right. The market doesn't trend much on this Asian session. Why? Because most part of the world are asleep. All right, most part of the world are asleep. So which means this Asian session is mostly a ranging market because of there is no too much volatility in the market. There's no high volume that is being traded in the market at this point. Most part of the world is asleep. All right, which is the Sydney and the Tokyo session. This actually overlap just with a few. That's why it's being run up to the Asian session. Okay, now I'm going to give you guys the timing. That's why I said just be patient as we move forward. I have to explain this first. Now, when we are talking about the London session, this is when the London banks are open, which is as from 8 a.m. All right, as from 8 a.m., London banks are open, and that's when volatility sets in the market. All right, that's when volatility starts to come in the market. Now, I'm going to be breaking this down to you for you guys to actually understand. Now, we also have the New York session. Now, at this point, all right, New York session, it starts from 12 to 1. That's the times that the New York banks are also opening. When they open, as people are coming in now, transactions are done, that's when we have volatility in the market. Now, these are the best sessions to trade. The London and the New York session, they are actually overlapping, which means when the London session is still on, New York session opens, and then it even brings more volatility in the market, all right? Because the time difference between these two is not that much, okay? Now, I'm going to pull up an indicator, which is, let me just bring that to you guys. I'm going to pull up an indicator, which is Luxago sessions. All right, so if you are using TradingView, you can get this indicator, which is called the Luxago session. Is that it? Luxago session. Let me just search session so that should come out. Luxago sessions, this one. All right, just start it and then I pull it on my screen. Good. So with this indicator, it helps you to mark out these sessions on your chart. All right, it helps mark out these sessions on the chart for you. You can see how it has marked them already on my screen. All right, now I'm going to explain to you how to actually trade this session. Now, if you look closely here, I'm going to notice that we have the Sydney. This is the Sydney and the Tokyo. They're actually overlapping. All right, now what the market opens at 10. It is opening. What opens is the Sydney session. Now, subsequently the Tokyo session opens, but overall, like I mentioned, the Sydney and the Tokyo sessions, that's when we have barely no volatility in the market. Not that the market doesn't trend sometimes. It actually trends sometimes during these particular periods, but most of the time, the sessions are characterized as sessions that have low volatility. All right. Now we have the London session and we have the New York session. Now, if you look closely, you'll notice that the New York session is still open. All right, by 10 p.m., it's going to be closed. The market is going to close, and then the Asian sessions opens at that time. All right, are you guys seeing my screen? Looks like, are you guys seeing my screen? I don't know if you guys are seeing my screen. Comment. All right, good. Please follow up closely. There are so many configurations that people have made based on time trading. All right, so take note, just listen to what I'm saying and make sure you follow right to the end. All right, now let's work closely with this indicator. This is one of my favorite indicators when it comes to trading times. All right, when it comes to trading times. Now, like I mentioned, we're going to be following more of what? We're going to be interested more on the London session, trading the London session and trading the New York session. Now, when I get up early in the morning, what I want to do is I wait for the London session to open and I trade the London session. If I miss out on the London session to trade, what I know is I'll go and then come back to trade the New York session as from 1 p.m. All right? It's that simple. Now, I don't trade the Asian session. Not that sometimes I can trade it if I meet some conditions that are based on my strategy. All right. Now let's look at the sessions that this indicator is proposing for us. Let's look at it based on let's say Friday. All right. Let me just replay us from Friday somewhere here. Good. So this is Friday. Now let's start with the Sydney session. Now, if you look on the Sydney session opens at 10 p.m. All right. If you can look down here, you're going to see that it's 22. Let me try to see if I can configure these time settings to end at trading sessions, other events. That should be, is it canvas or symbols? All right. It's okay. The time zone is in Nigeria. Skills time. All right, 24. Let me change it here. Good. I've seen it. Nice. Now, this is the Sydney session. The Sydney session opens at 10 p.m. Just look down on my cursor. All right. If you look down on my cursor right here, you're going to see 10 p.m. here. All right. You can see 10 p.m. 10 p.m. That's when the Asian session opens. All right. So let me be actually putting it down so that you guys can put on your you can write it down. So we have the Asian session, which starts at what? 10 p.m. All right. It starts at 10 p.m. to what time? This is the Tokyo session. It starts at 10 p.m. and it goes right up to 9. But now, it actually overlaps with what? With the London session. But now, if you're dealing with only with the Sydney session closes at 6 a.m. All right. It actually closes at 6 a.m. So we're going to put that Asian session opens at 10 p.m. and it goes right up to what? 6 p.m. 6 a.m. Sorry. It goes right up to 6. What have I done? What have I done? What have I done? Okay. Sydney's Asian session opens at 10 p.m. and it goes right up to 6 a.m. in the morning. All right. So 6 a.m. in the morning, Sydney session is closing. We are not talking more about Tokyo session because it's just within these two time frames. That's why I said all of them, they are just grouped to be what? The Asian session. All right. But Tokyo actually overlaps a little bit into London session. Now, what time does London session opens? 8 a.m. All right. That's what they call the pre-London session. It opens at 8 a.m. So London session opens at what? 8 a.m. and it goes right up to what? It goes right up to 4 p.m. It goes right up to 4 p.m. Now, this is London session. Let's look at New York session. The New York session. The New York session opens at 2 p.m. Right? It opens actually at 2 p.m., but it starts from 1. That's what I mentioned, the pre-London, right? So it starts at 1 p.m., which is for the pre-London. So we have in, let's put 1 p.m. right up to 10 p.m. Okay, so these are your trading sessions, okay? These are your trading sessions. Now, let's characterize this now in the power of 3, which is also called the AMD. I don't want to talk much about the accumulation manipulation now, but these sessions, they are based on that. We have this like this. This is a London session, and we have the New York session. Now, what did I say? The market opens at what? 10, right? Opens at 10. Increase this. Opens at 10. Okay, we have, let's divide this, and then we divide this, and then we divide this. Okay, so what we actually have is, remember, the characteristics of this Asian session is called what? The accumulation. The accumulation phase. The accumulation phase is the characteristics of, this is not good, we'll put red. The accumulation phase is the characteristics of Asian session. Okay, so which means within 10 p.m. in the night, right up to 6 a.m., we actually expect the market to be a little bit dormant. All right, we don't expect the market to be too volatile. Not that you cannot trade with this time. Remember, there are Asian people that are waking up at this time to trade. All right, this timing is based on Cameroon time. Please take note. This is based on Cameroon time, GMT +1. All right, so if you're in any other country, Dubai, wherever, you try to you convert it to your own time. All right, or you just pull up this indicator, looks algo sessions. You go to your indicators here, you search for it, and then you put it, you on it. It's going to automatically mark it for you, and when you are trading, you will not need to stress too much. All right, now the Asian session is described as an accumulation or ranging session. All right. Now, the description of the London session, I didn't put this one well. London session. Oh, shit. All right. London session. All right. So the London session, its characteristics is what we call the manipulation. The manipulation phase. Now, there's going to be a lesson that we're going to have, which is accumulation manipulation. Now, the New York session, the characteristics of the New York session is called what? The distribution phase. The distribution. Now, the distribution phase. This is important. Timing is very important when it comes to trading. All right. It's very, very important when it comes to trading. Now, what does accumulation actually means? It simply means the market is neither going up or down, right? It's actually accumulating. Now, what about the manipulation time? When from the name manipulation, it actually shows it's leading you to the wrong side of the market. All right, it's leading you to the wrong direction, which is the session that mostly creates the high or low of the day. All right, which creates the high or low of the day. Which means if the market wants to sell within London session, it will create the high of the day. That's making traders to think that the market wants to move higher, and then it creates the high of the day, and then it starts to reverse to the downside. And then this distribution here simply means the market will now distribute the original trend for that whole day. All right, so the market will continue the distribution now during the New York session, and then we create the low of that day. All right, so how do we describe this in a single candle? We're going to just have something like this. Remember, the opening is during what? The New York session, the Asian session, right? Asian session was the opening price, and then when it opened during Asian session, we traded down, and then we created the low during New York session, and then the high was created during the London session. Okay, so this is simply the power of theory now illustrated in simple terms, or in simple on the lower time frame. All right, now this is the daily chart. This is the daily time frame. Now this is like the 15-minute. We have price accumulating, actually ranging, and then during London session we manipulate to create the high of the day. All right, and then during towards New York session, the market starts to reverse. Sometimes you manipulate during London session and start reversing immediately. All right, and then New York session will continue that reversal. I want to make you to understand the characteristics of each session, so that when you want to trade any session, you know that this is what this session is good in doing, right? It's just like understanding characteristics of pregnant women. When a woman is pregnant, she will maybe not like to eat some certain types of things, and you knowing that this is the characteristics of this person, you will not be offended, right? you will not get angry. You will already be you will be prepared, right? You are going to be prepared for that. So when you know the characteristics of each session, you are prepared for it. It's just like you're going to take a buy trade here on Asian session, and the market keeps ranging, and then you are now angry that what is going on? Why is the market not moving? It is the characteristics of that Asian session most of the time not to move. Now, this doesn't mean this is what is going to happen every single day, but it is the basis. It's just like a characteristics. There's I don't know why I'm giving this example. It's still the same. There are some women that when they're pregnant, they don't hate some certain types of food. They will just be eating everything, right? There are some that when they get pregnant, they stop eating a lot of things. All right. This simply means that uh please, I say this is GMT plus one. What I'm simply saying here is that this is uh most of the time this is what happens. Most of the time this is what happens. But sometimes you are going to have Asian session that will not do what? Will not accumulate like this. Sometimes the London session will not manipulate. It will just start distributing. Now, what happens if Asian session start distributing? If Asian session distributes, then what will happen? London session will do what? It will accumulate. And New York session will manipulate. Now, let me illustrate this better before we start going to have before we start looking for live examples. All right. Now, let's say this is the timing. Asian session opens. All right. Accumulates. What happens? London session manipulates, and New York session distributes. This is what the power of theory is all about: accumulation, manipulation, and then distribution. I will explain to you why there is a manipulation involved in this with time, but I want to just you to understand that these are the characteristics of each session. We have not yet started talking about liquidity. That's why I'm not emphasizing on why there is a manipulation, okay? But I just want you to know that we are trading based on time, and these are the characteristics of each session. So about liquidity, we're going to have lessons on that, and I'll explain even the concept of accumulation, manipulation, distribution, right? Now, let's look at this example here. Look at this. Now, this is what? This is the Asian session. It starts at 10 p.m., 10 p.m., and it comes right up to 6 a.m., like I mentioned, all right? Now, this is Asian session. What happened during the London session? It did what? It went to the opposite direction, and it could feel like the market wants to continue higher, but what happened? It started reversing, and during the New York session, it reversed again down. All right. So this is just one example. Also, look at this area here. This is also the Asian session here. All right. Accumulated. London session open, and it was like trading down. It even took the low of Asian session, and what happened? It expanded up, and New York session continued the expansion. All right. That's basically what is happening most of the times in the market. But remember, like I said, it's not that every Asian session must accumulate. That's not how it works. All right. There's sometimes that the Asian session is going to do what? Distribute. When Asian session distributes, you now understand that this is our Asian session here. London session opens, manipulate to the downside, and what happened? Started a reversal, and New York continued the displacement. Now, if we should look at this particular Wednesday candle on the daily chart, how is it going to look like? Let me cut it from this point, and then we should go to the daily chart. Okay, all right. Let's see how the daily looks like. This, and then I'll lock this up. Okay. Now this is how the candle looks like. This is Wednesday. This is the candle on Wednesday. All right. Now this was a bullish candle. This was the low of the candle, and then this is the high of the candle. Now let's put the high of the candle with red, and then the low is with blue. Now let's go back to the lower time frame. Now on the lower time frame, if you look here, you will notice that okay, when the market opened, it traded down to create a low first, right? It traded down to create a low first with the black, as I mentioned. Now, on the daily time frame, you could not actually say the timing which that happened. All right, you could not say that okay, the low was created at this time. All right, but now what time did the market open? All right, like I said, the candle opens at 10 p.m., which was around this point here. You see this small candle. This was the opening of that of the day of the candle right here. And then when it opened, it entered the Asian session, which is as from what time to what time? You say as from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Now, from 6 a.m., what happened? The London session opens at what time? The London session opens at what time? It goes from 8 a.m. and then it extends right into 4 p.m. So there is an overlap. Now, if you look here, you notice that within that London session, there was a manipulation. And then the overlap between the New York session and the Asian session is another area where there is high volatility, which is due to two sessions with high volume overlapping together. All right. Now, if I should unback the session, you'll see exactly that is what happened. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, I don't have enough time to actually explain this. But guys, this particular session today, I just wanted you guys to understand that there are sessions when it comes to trading. That's why when you start to work with me or trade with me, you will notice that within the night, I don't trade. All right, it's not that the market is not moving. The market is moving, but it is the Asian session or even it is even late New York session and there's no more volatility. All right. So you need to understand the times that there is volatility coming into the market. So when I get up as from 8 a.m., 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., that's my trading time for London session. All right. Now, to trade New York session is for me as from 12 to about 3. That's when I'm sitting on my decks and then I want to trade. Take note of that. Those are my session. Those are the times I trade. Now, I will not be sending you a signal at 2 a.m. in the night or in the morning. 3 a.m. in the morning. No, I don't do that. But as from 5:30, that's the time I'm already up, preparing to go to the gym. As from 7:30, I'm back from the gym, and then I'm looking at the chart. Maybe, but so most of the time I get up around 4 a.m. I study the market. Maybe I just analyze. All right, I just analyze. I read some books. Now, when I'm coming back from the gym around 7:30, I already know that, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm expecting. Then I'm waiting for 8 a.m. to open. Then I expect that manipulation in the market. Once I see the manipulation now, I know that, okay, this is taking traders to the different side, or this is when the market is trying to create the low or high of the day. And then I engage accordingly. All right. Now, what are we simply trading? In a single day, what we are simply doing here is trading a single candle, right? Trading a single candle, which simply means that what we want to trade, buy at the high. If it's going to be a selling day, we want to buy at the high of the day and then close at the low of the day. It's that simple, right? So if we're having a bearish day, all we want to see is the market to open, trade above the opening price, which was here, and then we look for selling here, and then we sell, and then it trades down, we close. If it is buying, once it opens down, what we want to see is what? It should trade below the opening price, create the low of that day, and then we look for buying opportunities. It goes up, we close our buy, right? It goes up to some areas here where we targeted before, and then we close our buy some areas of resistance, as I mentioned concerning our last class, right? You close our trade. This is simply it. We are trading one candle every day. We are trading one candle every day, one daily candle every single day, one daily candle every single day. And all we want to do is we sell above the opening price, right? We sell above the opening price. As the market trades down, we close, all right? We close even before the market closes, right? Now, if it is buying, if we want to buy, what are we doing? This is going to be the opening. As the market trades down, we want to do what? We want to buy below the opening price. And as the market is going up, all right, we're making money. As it goes up, before it even closes, we have closed our trade based on what the lower time frame is doing, or showing us some areas where the market can possibly reverse, right? Now, you're also going to see that there are going to be days where you have funny candles or like indecision candles, like we discussed last time, right? Which means You are going to have a day that the market will open, go down, create the low of the day, you buy here, it goes up, you close, and then it comes back down and closes somewhere. This particular day is going to be a day of indecision, right? This is how the candle is going to look like. But first, what you have done is you bought below the opening price, it goes up, you close, then maybe it comes back down, and then it closes somewhere here. All right, it is that simple. All right, so this particular session, I just wanted you guys to understand the sessions that are involved. When by 8 a.m., when banks are opening, that's when the market starts moving. All right, the market starts moving. The volatility is coming into the market. Okay, same thing with New York session. Volatility is coming into. I don't want to complicate you guys with so much pre-London, the Judas swing, and all those stuffs. They actually don't matter. What matters here is the most important basics that you have to understand. All right, it's not too much of advanced stuff that gives you money in trading. Nobody should fool you. All right, it's not too much of advanced stuff that gives you money. No, it is understanding the basics and sticking to them. It's just like when you learn too much, it starts to instead affect you. All right, so make sure you understand these sessions. When you are trading, if you want to trade the London session between 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., you should be done trading London session. There are people, I have good friends from UK who trades only the New York session. From some in Turkey, they trade only New York session. They are waiting as from 1 p.m. They are looking at the charts to trade the New York session, and in about 4 or 5 hours they are done trading for the day. Sometimes I can be trading London session between 8 to